Since he didn't relinquish power last time, yes.
Well, ultimately he did, but you fear...
Oh, come on, guys.
Fine, let's accept that for the sake of argument again. So you fear that at the end of this 4-year period, when he can no longer run for election again, you fear that he will not hand over the presidency.
A guy who said, let's terminate the Constitution, consider martial law, and had a fake elector plot to steal an election, might he try to stay in power? Of course, he tried to do it once.
Well, that's good. So we got...
Well, chronically triggered leftist Cenk Uygur is back at it again. In this clip, Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks is whining about President-elect Donald Trump's return to office. And of course, crybaby Cenk can only spew out the usual demented leftist insults, calling Trump a fascist, an authoritarian, and a dictator. Trigonometry coach Konstantin tries to get the unhinged Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks to specify what he actually means by fascist, but simple-minded Cenk can only come up with a few empty platitudes and is unable to say anything of substance. A big surprise there. Let's kind of get into this clip some more and see where this interesting conversation takes us.
You don't call Trump Hitler, and you don't call the Republicans Nazis, but when you say the word fascist, as you say, the meaning of that word has been eroded. That's where most people's minds is going to go, right?
So what do you guys tell me, what should I call his obvious dictatorial tendencies?
And
his obvious over-the-top racism.
You know what? Actually, this is a really great question, because what I'd love for you to do is, and this is a genuine question, I'm not trying to catch you out or anything like that. I genuinely am interested. I have heard a lot of rhetoric from people about Donald Trump and the concerns that they have about the next 4 years. And, you know, people use words like fascist, dictatorial, etc. What do you fear over the next 4 years he is going to do that makes you say in the present moment that he's dictatorial, fascist? What is he going to do, do you think?
Yeah. So, again, I don't know that he's going to do it because there's countervailing forces.
What do you fear?
And I think the countervailing forces are super interesting, and we should talk about that.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to see which way the right wing goes in this country under Trump. But the worst case scenario is he gets frazzled and feels challenged, and he falls back on what he always does, which is just protect his ego. And so he starts pilfering, and that's very much in his nature. Grab, take, because now there's no accountability. What are you gonna do, impeach him? What are you gonna do, arrest him? No accountability, there's no brakes in the car. So we're all at his mercy.
Sorry to interrupt, but this is important for clarity. What do you mean by pilfering? He's gonna be pilfering and pilfering.
Okay, so easy examples, but there's a million of these. He puts Jared Kushner in charge of the Middle East last time around, and Saudi Arabia. Jared Kushner at some point goes to Saudi Arabia, talks to Mohammed bin Salman, and right afterwards, Mohammed bin Salman arrests a whole bunch of people, okay? I don't want to get into too much into what happened in that meeting and what the results were, but whatever it was, Mohammed bin Salman was super pleased because right after the election, he gives Jared Kushner $2 billion to manage. But he gets 2 and 20 on that. So if you know private equity and how that works, what that means is he's going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. So if Hunter Biden got a $2 billion deal from the Saudis after Joe Biden left office, I was like, Hunter Biden's not a Ukrainian gas expert.
Yeah, exactly. Hunter Biden's not a Ukrainian gas expert. And Cenk is right. That is corruption. And I have zero love for Jared Kushner. I wish Donald Trump had not included him, had not brought him in so close to in an advisory capacity during his first term. I don't want to see that guy anywhere near the levers of power, but that's the way it is. Apparently he's going to be there in Donald Trump's second term, and he's going to be pushing, of course, the pro-Israel everything. Donald Trump, yeah, the people close to him are going to benefit, but just like Hunter Biden benefits, from his however much he makes as on the board of directors of some Ukrainian gas company or whatever it is. Yeah, this kind of stuff has been going on since forever. This is nothing new. It doesn't mean it's good, obviously, but it has nothing to do with what Cenk was saying. Cenk was saying, oh, now that Trump's been elected for a second term, the brakes are totally off. Trump's just gonna pilfer. He can do whatever he wants. He's not gonna give up power at the end of his second term. Well, really? Yeah, he might whine and complain. He might say, He might try to stay in power. He might say, no, I'm not going to leave the White House. But what is that going to do? That's not fascism. You know, that's just a guy being Trump. That's just Trump being Trump. The system will go on unless Trump really does try to commit an actual coup, of course, an actual insurrection, not this so-called bogus insurrection, i.e. the January 6th protest / riot. Yeah, okay, if that happens, it happens, but it will be dealt with. And this is it's just the usual liberal fear-mongering. Cenk Uygur here of the Young Turks is talking relatively rationally and calmly for him. Usually he's just melting down completely on his show. But he's not saying anything. He's just saying the same, or I should say, he's saying the same thing that all the liberals and leftists and Democrats have been saying for years, since before Trump was elected the first time.
Nuts.
Okay,
And that was $5 million.
So your fear number one is that his family will benefit financially from
him.
his president,
Yeah.
and him will benefit financially. What
And
else?
his donors,
And
most of all his
and
donors.
And his donors.
What else?
Okay, so that's, but to be fair to Trump, like part of the reason the establishment hates him is because he's systemically and personally corrupt, whereas they're just largely systemically
Look,
corrupt.
I'm accepting
I'll need a source on that. I think they're largely personally corrupt also, the establishment.
all this for the sake of argument without
Yeah,
challenging,
and-
because I just want you to get to like the real fascism that he's going to do that you worry
So the
about.
reason I'm saying that is because since most of the politicians are systemically corrupt anyway, that's not the fascism
That's
I'm
my
referring
point.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So where's the fascism?
So he says, I'm going to deport all the undocumented immigrants. So some people might say, yeah, good. Rip them out of their homes, 13, 15 million people, whatever it is. Oh, they're running a diner. They're beloved in their neighborhood. They married an American citizen. Whatever they did, I don't care. And, oh, their kids are American citizens. Rip them away from their babies and send them the goddamn back home.
Well, this is it. This is basically what it comes down to. The conservatives, the so-called conservatives in the United States and in Europe, for that matter, not that we have conservatives here in Europe, certainly not my European country. They're barely allowed legally. But anyway, yeah, some hard decisions and some hard actions are going to have to be taken. And I believe it was Ronald Reagan, supposedly the conservative, he, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was him, it's been a long time, was the one who gave amnesty to something like 10 million illegals who were in the United States. And no, they're not bad people, obviously. Nobody's saying that. And yeah, they probably are working and they are doing jobs for low wages, which means that Americans can get services for for lower prices. But the rules are the rules, and there's a reason we have these rules. And because enough people have broken the rules and enough people have let it slide, the so-called people in charge have let the broken rules slide for decades now, and let the situation get to this point, that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean you just say, of course, this is the leftist point of view. Yeah, okay, well, we'll just say that they're not illegal anymore, now they're citizens, problem solved. Yeah, well, that's basically what the leftists have done in a few places in California, where they said, well, shoplifting's not a felony anymore. Or it's not even a crime anymore of any kind, perhaps. You can shoplift up to $950 worth of merchandise, and the police won't even come, And it's insane. It's insane. Yeah, see? And then in the next year's crime statistics, look, shoplifting, larceny is down. There's no more theft or theft. Instances of reported theft have dropped dramatically thanks to our leftist policies. No, you've just redefined what terms mean, and everything is getting worse. You're lying. The situation's getting worse. The theft goes on. People aren't getting punished for it, which means it increases. It's basically the same. It's the same thing. And the conservatives and Republicans are just so weak, and just so weak and soft and fat. I always say weak, soft, and fat. I'm overweight myself, so don't take it personally. But life has become too easy. It makes people weak, soft, and fat, and they won't do what has to be done. And yeah, if these guys have to be kicked out of the country, yeah, don't tear them away from their children. Send their children with them.
Now, that's a debatable point as to whether that's fascism. My guess is
No, it's not fascistic. It's called following the law.
that if he starts doing it, and you start seeing people ripped out of their homes, that people are going to go, oh, that don't look good.
I don't think he's going to do that.
Yeah. Well, okay, we're going to find out. He might not. We're going to find out.
But if he
okay?
was to, let's say, I think the more likely scenario, I don't know if you agree with Cenk, but I think it's possible that this is the more likely scenario, is he deports all the people who've committed a crime in this country, who are illegal immigrants, right? People not only came here illegally, but have committed a crime, and people who don't have American family and don't have dependents here. Let's say he was to deport all those people. Would that be fascism in your view?
I don't even know if he deported all the undocumented immigrants. It would.
Of course, that wouldn't be fascist, for one thing. Secondly, I say deport all immigrants who commit a crime, legal or illegal. If they're not citizens, I mean, this is a very low bar. Konstantin of trigonometry just set an extremely low bar there. I would say deport all immigrants. I'm an immigrant to the European country I live in. I don't even think I should have the right to vote here. I don't think immigrants should have the right to vote. I'm a naturalized citizen, have been for over 20 years. But I don't think I should even have the right to vote here. No, I think if you're an immigrant, even the right kind of immigrant like me, that you should not ever have the right to vote. Your children, perhaps, if they're born and raised in this, the immigrant's country. But anyway, getting back to deporting, yeah, I say any immigrant commits a crime, above a certain level, say, an actual felony. Yeah, deport, gone, don't need you, bye, and your family with them.
Be fascism. I'm not even stipulating
okay,
to that.
so let's get to the fascism, though, because this is what I want to get to, right?
And by the way, people who committed crimes should obviously be deported.
Right.
No
Yeah,
one
we agree.
disagrees with that. So then the thing that I'm concerned about is both him and the potential attorney general saying, if you're on a campus and you're protesting Trump, you're protesting Israel, you're protesting the oil companies, you're protesting something we don't like, arrest and deport you. Wait, what happened to cancel culture? I mean, arresting someone for protesting or voicing their speech is the most both cancel culture you could do. I mean, you're taking the guy's freedom away, right?
Yeah, agreed. But
deporting people that are American citizens, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, you can't do that. But did he do any of that in his first term?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, Trump, he probably tweeted something like, pretty sure he tweeted this, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, something like, when there was all this these pro-Palestinian protests on American university campuses, he did say something like, it shouldn't be allowed. They shouldn't be allowed to protest against Israel. And of course, all the American federal level politicians, because they're big suck-ups to Israel, many of them agree with this because they have to, because they whenever they take office, they bend the knee, they go kiss the Wailing Wall, do all that nonsense. In other words, they put a foreign country first, Israel first. And of course, what Cenk is saying, if that were to happen, and nobody's even come close to trying to do that, no, of course not. You shouldn't deport people, or you shouldn't imprison people for protesting unless they're breaking some sort of law, and there shouldn't be a law against protesting, obviously. Although, there's rules about protesting. All protests have to follow rules. They have to announce the protest, get, police permission and all that stuff. But anyway, that has not even been a thing. Trump did nothing like that, or even attempted to do anything, or even claimed he was planning to do something like that.
So he didn't do that.
Okay.
Okay, but and that's why I say, guys, when he's running, he threatens to do total complete shutdown of Muslims. Yeah. He threatens to arrest and deport people.
God, I hate this. Complete total shutdown on Muslims. Probably a reference to the so-called Muslim ban early in Trump's first term, which was, yes, a ban on immigrants or people coming in from 6 or 7 Muslim-majority countries. So what? Yeah, so what? First of all, yeah, sorry. What can I say? Yes, we have freedom of religion in the United States. The left was trying to to frame that issue in two ways, as being racist and as being against freedom of religion. Well, first of all, it wasn't a Muslim ban, because he didn't ban people from all Muslim countries. Not at all, not by a long shot. It was from certain countries which had a reputation, or which, not just a reputation, which were hotbeds for, terrorism and Islamism and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it just makes perfect sense. What Western country benefits from people from those countries? Secondly, what Western or European country benefits from migration of non-Europeans into its country? Europeans are far more closer culturally and genetically and spiritually than people from other parts of the world are. So we just have no benefit. There's zero benefit to importing these people. Zero benefit. In any case, it wasn't a Muslim ban. And I hope Trump does a similar thing when he first gets into office again this time. Although he'll probably be shut down by some activist judge in the United States.
People, etc. But he didn't necessarily do it. So for example, they said lock her up, and then he got into office and he said, no, I'm not locking Hillary Clinton up. So I have an open mind. But when he threatens, so when he threatens those type of things, I go, I am deeply, deeply concerned. Now here's other things.
Okay.
So they had a 3-hour meeting after he lost the election, where Michael Flynn and I believe Sidney Powell, don't quote me on that, I don't want to get sued, okay, but definitely Michael Flynn said, let's use martial law. Let's roll out the tanks, okay? And we won this election, and we're going to correct the fraud, and let's go grab the actual ballot machines, okay? And Trump was like, okay, now I'm listening. Now we're having a conversation. And that's why it lasted 3 hours.
So you
At the end, hold on.
No, hold on. You're talking about something that already happened. I'm asking you about the future. Let's just stick with that.
No, but that's totally relevant.
No, well, I'm sure, which is why I'm asking you the question to follow up. So do you fear that at the end of this 4-year period, he's not going to relinquish power? Is that what you're saying?
So since he didn't relinquish power last time, yes.
Well, ultimately he did, but you fear...
Oh, come on, guys.
Fine, let's accept that for the sake of argument again. So you fear that at the end of this 4-year period...
He did relinquish power. He wasn't president for the last 4 years. It's just retarded. Pardon my French.
When he can no longer run for election again, you fear that he will not hand over the presidency.
A guy who said, let's terminate the Constitution, considered martial law, and had a fake elector plot to steal an election, might he try to stay in power? Of course he tried to do it once.
Well, that's good. So we got to. So you fear that at the end of this 4-year period, he will not vacate the White House.
That is one of my concerns, absolutely, and that alone is a deal breaker.
Well, it'd be a deal breaker for anyone, left and right, no question.
Except it wasn't, because he already tried to do it, and the right was like, no big deal, no big deal.
I don't think that's
It was a giant deal.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite true. But anyway,
He left office. New president took over. I mean, he whined and moaned and raged against the machine, but at the end of the day, that's all he could do. There was no coup. There was no insurrection. He didn't try to stay in office. He didn't shut himself in a bunker with armed guards around him. He didn't go on national TV and say, I'm really in charge. He didn't do any of that nonsense. Okay, enough of Cenk Uygur here. Of course, he never did actually get around to saying how Trump is fascistic. He just is like all these other leftists and triggered progressives and all that. He just doesn't like the guy, which is fair enough. You know, there's plenty not to like about Donald Trump. But so what? There's plenty not to like about most politicians at that level. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. I might have to do more of this clip later on another day, because maybe further on in this interview they get into some actual details. Cenk, to be fair, is being pretty calm here, you know, compared to how he usually is. You know what he's like on his own show. He just loses his rag all the time. But yeah, so please hit the subscribe button, hit the like, leave a comment. I've been reading all your comments recently. Some really good ones. I can't reply to them all, but I do reply to quite a few. So do that. Really helps the algorithm promote this channel, which in turn helps me continue making content for you.